then I thought, okay, once I get out of my first trimester, then I'll make a video. Got too scared. 20 weeks came along, thought I'd make a video, got too scared, so here we are. I'm finally gonna do it. Just bear with me. So I'm expecting a little boy. His name will be Grayson Allen. I'm 26 weeks. Kind of messy in here. I like to do my makeup in here, good lighting. Anyways, I'm 26 weeks and 4 days pregnant. I by all means have nothing figured out. I have been through 26 weeks of it, so I can tell you what I do know. When I was first finding out I was pregnant, it was really scary. I was very, very scared, being only 19. I was living in a house with my fiance and 2 of his friends, so you can imagine, messy, all boys. And then there was me, and I was pregnant, and something needed to change if I was going to bring a little baby into the world. So at the time we weren't engaged. I guess I'm basically just going to give you a rundown of how I found out I was pregnant, how I told people, and all that. So let me think here. I took my first positive pregnancy test on August 1st of 2016, which was last year now, I guess. Time is flying. I was scared shitless. Pardon my language, but if you've been through this and it was a surprise to you, you know exactly the feeling I'm talking about. I had a feeling my body was different, something was off, and I could just tell, not necessarily that I was pregnant, but I was like, it's a possibility, I'll take a test just to, tell myself either yes or no, and I figured it would be no, just like you always do. So I took a pregnancy test, and this was 2 weeks prior to the positive test I got, and it came out negative, and I was like, okay, no need to worry. And being only 19 years old, I had taken a pregnancy test before, but I don't know all the tips and tricks to it. I didn't know you were supposed to wait until you had not gotten your period, which might be common sense to a lot of people, but it wasn't to me. So it came out negative, and my, at the time, boyfriend and I were like, okay, we don't have to worry about it. So as time goes on, I start to notice I just feel different. And if you are pregnant or have children, you know what I mean. Your body just feels a little off. And I remember one day I was taking a shower, and this might get a little TMI, but if you're here watching this and you're pregnant, then you know pregnancy is a little TMI sometimes. So I was in the shower, and I noticed when the water was hitting my chest, it hurt. It was not an awful pain, but it felt like my breasts were just sore, and mainly my nipples. And when the water hit, I got tears in my eyes instantly. And I was like, what in the world? I must be getting my period. And that's never happened to me before. I always got cramping with my period, and mood swings, of course, but those were my only real symptoms of my period, I guess you would say. So I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but I didn't really think much of it. And then as time went on, I noticed I was getting really tired and just drowsy. My back hurt awful. I work as a CNA, so, we're on our feet, moving a lot, lifting heavy things. And so I thought, okay, I do have back problems normally, so I thought, this might be normal, might just be my period. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe I'll just take another pregnancy test just one more time just to clear my mind. Took another one, came out negative. And by this time, we were probably just a few days before the positive pregnancy test came out. And I was like, I don't know, this seems a little weird. My body isn't usually like this. And everybody was telling me if I was pregnant, I would know that I was pregnant. So in my heart, I was like, well, I don't feel that way. So maybe I'm not, maybe I am, but I didn't think I was. So I went on with my life, carried on, and then one day, this was August 1st. Yeah, this was August 1st. My boyfriend and I woke up and we both were just not feeling very well, but I didn't think anything of it, thought maybe we were getting sick. We went out to dinner, and I love pizza. We went to Pizza Hut, and I couldn't hardly even eat. It was just so, it was good, but it wasn't hitting the spot, you know? It was making me nauseous and just yucky feeling. And I know they say you're supposed to take the pregnancy test with your first morning pee, but it was probably by this time 6-7 o'clock at night when we went out to eat. So I was like, babe, we need to go get pregnancy tests. And he just said, no, we're just gonna waste money. You already got 2 negative tests. And he's not a mean person, but he was just, you know, being a boy. So I finally talked him into it. We went to Walmart, which is neighbors to Pizza Hut in my town. Don't mind this messy room. So we get to Walmart. Let me just set this up. Okay, so we get to Walmart, and I grab the clear blue test, the ones that either say pregnant or they say not pregnant. And we bought, I want to say the 5-pack. I just wanted to buy them all at once so that he didn't say that again to me. And we get home that night and he says, I don't think you should take it. You might waste the test. Maybe just wait a few more days and see how you're feeling, see if you get your period. And so I listened to him, I laid down, and I just felt nasty. I just felt sick and gross, and I was like, okay, I'm taking it. I just have to. And I went into the bathroom, which was in that house. It was right across from our bedroom. And I was texting both of my best friends, who also were both pregnant at this time. I know, funny story. Everybody thinks we all did it on purpose. Where am I? So I go into the bathroom and I have this pregnancy test, and I'm worried, but I don't know. You know the feeling of taking a pregnancy test if you're watching this video, I'm sure. So I took this test and I'm waiting. And on the clear blue test, it has it gives you like a little screen where it says pregnant or not pregnant, and then also has like a little loading, like a stick that goes like section by section, it loads. And it's loading, and I'm texting my friends and I'm telling them I took the test and I'm waiting for the result. And it pops up and it says pregnant. And I can't even describe to you the feeling that overcame my whole body. It was fear, happiness, scared, sad, just a complete emotional mess. Now looking back, I'm very, very thankful for my son, but you know, you're 19 years old, you're pregnant, you're freaking scared. So it pops up pregnant. The first thing I do is take a picture, send it into this group text with my best friends, and then I run into the bedroom and I'm just holding this test. And at this point I am shaking. And I walk in and Jordan that's my now fiance, then at the time boyfriend. He's just sitting there, just playing on his phone. And in my head is just spinning in circles, and he's just sitting there, sitting on his phone, and he doesn't know what's going on yet. And it probably had only been 30 seconds since the pregnant popped up, but in my head it had been 15 years. And I'm like, how aren't you freaking out right now? But he didn't even know yet. So I'm holding this test in my hand, and I'm just shaking. I am petrified. I don't even know what to think at this point. And he looks at me, and he was like, what? And he knew I went in there to take the test, but I'm sure he just thought it was negative, so, I mean, why would he get worried or, you know, whatever. And I walk in there, and I'm shaking, I'm holding the test. He looks at me, and he's like, what? And I said, it's positive. And he looks at me, and he says, you're lying to me. That's all he says, a smirk on his face, you're lying to me. And I'm like, I'm not lying to you. And I didn't throw it, it was such a blur. I think I walked across the room, I handed him the test, and then tears just started pouring down my face. Not that I was sad, but I was an emotional wreck. I didn't know what to think. I mean, it was the very last thing I expected at this point in my life. So he sees the test and he just stares at it. And looking back, he handled the situation very, very well, especially compared to me. He's holding this test and he's just staring at it, and then he sees me, and by this time I'm sitting on the floor, cross-legged, bawling my eyes out, like sobbing, like uncontrollable sobbing. And he hugs me and he says it's gonna be okay. And if you know Jordan, if you know me personally and you're watching this video, that is like the best expression you could ever expect out of Jordan. Not that he's a bad guy, but he wasn't ready for a baby either. We were not at that step in our relationship yet, but it was happening, and my son was in my belly, so we had to make it work. So at this point, it was really cute actually. He ruined a really big surprise. He told me that he was he was planning to propose to me. And he said the only reason he was telling me was because he didn't want me to think that he was only doing it because I was pregnant, which is probably what I would have thought, so I'm glad he told me. He had already spoken to my mom and my stepdad asking for their blessing, which is adorable if you know Jordan. It was just, I don't know. And so he tells me this, and then I start sobbing even harder. Not that I'm sad, but just so much information was coming into me at a record speeds, you know. Within 5 minutes I was getting married and having a baby, you know. I mean, I wasn't necessarily engaged, but I was. Obviously I'm gonna say yes to him. So my whole life had been flipped upside down, and I don't know how long we were sitting there. I would say probably at least an hour. At least an hour I was just sitting there bawling and bawling and bawling. And not that I was sad again, but it was a huge, huge step in my life that I wasn't ready for. So let's see, we lived 2 blocks away from my mom and 2 blocks away from his mom. And me and my mom are like peanut butter and jelly. We are best friends. I tell her absolutely everything. So I texted her and I said I'm on my way over. By this time it's probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and she was in bed. But she always keeps her phone on loud because I'm her only child, and you know. Anyway, so I texted her, we're on our way over, and she says, okay. So I show up and I have this pregnancy test in my hand, and I'm still sobbing, like I'm still an emotional wreck. And I walk in the front door and she's already downstairs, like waiting for me because my stepdad was sleeping. She didn't want to disrupt him. She didn't know what was going on. Let me get a drink. So, she meets me in the living room, and all I did was walk in and I'm sobbing. She can tell something is happening, and I hand her the test. And let me tell you, my mom could only ever have me as a child, so she's always wanted another baby, but you know, I'm her daughter. I'm 19 years old. I just graduated a year ago, just moved out, and you know, it's a big step. It's a huge situation for a family. I hand her the test and she just stares at me. Just like stares at me for probably, I have no idea how long it truly was, but it felt like a half an hour of her just staring at me as I'm bawling my eyes out. Looking back, it's pretty hilarious, but at the time I was terrified. And she's not a scary person. She can be intimidating, but she's not a scary person. And let me think. So she's staring at me, and then for what felt like forever, she finally gave me a hug and said, "Oh baby, it'll be okay." And she went and got my stepdad, and I told him, and pretty soon they were excited, calling themselves Grandma and Grandpa. But it did not happen right away. I mean, she had to get used to it. So then after that, Jordan and I went to his mom's house, and she is much more laid back. And I think there's something that goes along with being that I'm my mom's daughter and I'm pregnant versus Jordan having a child. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be, you know, it's not as important to his family, because it is, and they love our son and they love me and everything, but it's different when you're the pregnant one. So we get to Jordan's mom's house and she's already in bed. We just walk right in and we walk right to the room, and his stepdad is sitting on the couch watching TV, and we asked if we could go in there, and he said yeah, it was fine. We woke her up and Jordan just hands her the test, and she's laying in bed and she stares at this test, and then she looks up at us, and then she looks back down, stares at the test, looks back up at us, and then she just has this biggest smile overcome her face. So we got her approval very fast. Then as time went on, we went into the doctor the next day, and they confirmed the pregnancy. I had to do the urine test. I'm not even really sure, maybe 4 or 5 weeks pregnant, but yeah, that's how I found out. That's how I told my best friends, my fiance, boyfriend at the time, both of our parents. Telling my dad was a little different story. Telling my grandparents was a different story. They're very, very religious, and you know, I don't know. It was an experience, that's for sure. I would love to keep making videos. I'm sorry if this was a little awkward. I try to just talk to you like you're one of my friends. If you would like to see anything else, please give me any ideas. I want to do pregnancy updates, even though I don't have much farther to go, 13 more weeks, which is crazy. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.